Excuse me. Raining. We'll talk about that when we come back. Use that line because that'll give me a chance to remind everybody too that we have to go spring or fall back this week too. Should have done that with Zach and I forgot.
For the Ohio Valley continues shortly here on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
For all of your IT needs, visit Omni.
Highland Sports Complex is the coolest destination for sports and entertainment the Ohio Valley has ever seen. Pop in for some open basketball in our field house or reserve some turf time for your next practice or game on our synthetic fields. Online registration is open for development classes and leagues for youth and adults. Highland Sports is also the hottest destination for birthday parties and other events. So come challenge yourself on our play climb and enjoy your favorite virtual reality game in the arcade. No memberships required, so visit highlandsports.com to find your next entertainment experience and get ready to reach new heights.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Insulate your home and lower energy costs with Guardian by Knauf Insulation. It offers year-round comfort and is perfect for both commercial and residential projects. Save today with 11% off Guardian by Knauf Insulation. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through Saturday, October 31st. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Hey, I'm going to the kitchen. Can I grab you a Coors Light?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Huh. I never knew there was a zip line in my fridge. Hey! Hey, buddy! Yeah! You got 2 Coors Lights up there?
You got it!
Always brewed down to 34 degrees. With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go, 2 Coors Lights.
Awesome, man. Wow, these are really cold.
That's the only way I deliver it.
Sure, I mean, you being a mountain climber and all.
Yep.
You probably need a pretty warm coat in there, huh?
Yep.
Hey, Ben!
Yeah!
Ask him if he has any nachos.
You got any nachos in there?
No.
Just icy cold Coors Light?
Yep.
That makes sense. It is the Rockies.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
Today is the day to go see your Toyota dealer and save big on the car, truck, or SUV you've been dreaming of. Like an off-road ready 2024 Runner or a rugged Tacoma, both with $1,000 cash back from Toyota. Or go with a 21 gas model Corolla, also with $1,000 back. Or check out the adventurous 2020 RAV4 with available all-wheel drive. Or spacious Highlander with seating for 8, both with up to $1,750 cash back. Take $2,000 cash back on a sporty new 2020 gas model Camry or $3,000 on a hybrid model Camry. Visit Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com for more great offers, to check out inventory, build your own Toyota, and to find a dealer near you. All to help make buying or leasing your next Toyota easy and affordable. You can take cash back or apply to a down payment. Offers exclude TRD Pro models and hybrid offers vary. See your dealer for details. Don't wait, because today is the day to go see your Toyota dealer. Offers end November 2nd. Toyota.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster with a look at your local weather forecast for your Thursday. Mostly cloudy, periods of rain. Could be heavy at times. Daytime high near 52. 41 for the overnight low under mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures returning into the lower 50s for daytime highs for your Friday with a couple of scattered sprinkles. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Live from the Robinson Auto Group studios in the heart of the Ohio Valley, this is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
What are we talking about today? Well, COVID cases hit double digits again in Ohio County and in Marshall County, actually. Wheeling Park High goes back to classrooms today, and 2 Marshall County schools go out of the classroom and begin remote learning for the next 7 days. Details in the coronavirus update coming up. We'll be talking about the election in West Virginia, and is it possible the Mountain State election next week could turn the Senate, the state Senate, Democrat? Maybe. We'll talk that over with Ogden newspaper State House reporter Stephen Allen Adams. Governor Justice announced the reopening of the Fulton Bridge on I-70 when he dropped off a big grant check in Wheeling yesterday. Halloween conversations continue with a look at the candy with the best trade-in value, creative ways to replace trick-or-treating this year of COVID, and some pretty realistic-looking decorations that had cops called on them. And one of the granddaddies of horror movie creatures is Count Dracula, the vampire created back in the 90s by Bram Stoker. We will talk Dracula and vampires and how Count Dracula was created with the great-grand-nephew of Bram Stoker, Dacre Stoker, who himself has written a sequel to the Dracula series. So we'll talk vampires and Dracula and all that coming up a little bit later on. We're going to talk about the weather right now, which ain't too good. It is a verstunken-looking day today. We're going to see rain, and more rain all day long. Maybe a light break in the rain late afternoon or early evening, but pretty much rain, continual soaking rain coming down all day long. Zach is saying the forecast could be 1 inch or 2 of accumulated rain over the course of the day today. Get up to around 53 today. We're at 51 right now. Now, the rain does wrap up tomorrow. That's the good news. But it's going to be cooler tomorrow, 48 for the high tomorrow. 51 degrees and rainy right now at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 50 degrees and rainy here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. And 50 degrees. And Biff, I guess it's still raining there at the Robinson Auto Group studios in downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley.
Yeah, I should not have looked outside during the break, but I thought, I'll go ahead anyway and take a look. And it is that light rain with foggy and misty. And I know it says it's 8:13 in the morning, but it's got that 8:13 in the evening feel outside right now.
Yeah, it's just that it's going to be that kind of day. If you are in a fortunate enough position to stay indoors, I don't know if you want to turn the fireplace on, but at least pretend like there's a fire flickering in your house and watch a good movie or something. This is that kind of day. Or read a good book. Just keep the radio on too, because this is not going to be. It's not a fit night out for man nor beast, as W.C. Fields once said. Speaking of feeling like 8:30 at night, I should have reminded you during our conversation with Zach in the weather segment. Don't forget, this weekend we fall back, which means we gain an hour of sleep, and that's good, but it just can mess up our entire internal clock. We return to God's time, technically at 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning, Saturday night into Sunday morning. So don't forget that. It's clock change time this weekend. I saw our old friend Emily Goodman had a post on her Facebook page last night, Biffy. She said, it's 2020. Halloween is going to be blue moon. Daylight savings time starts. And in their area, the hurricane is working its way through. She said, just another 2020 weekend, So don't forget to turn your clocks back. And for heaven's sakes, don't forget to take your brelly with you or a jacket or something if you're outside. Hopefully the rain will discourage Teddy from even asking if he wants to go playing today. Yesterday he got in the car and it was, it was overcast. It was cool. It had rained. It wasn't rain at the time. Granddaddy, I want to go to the Ogilvy playground. I think I'll meet Giovanni up there. I'm sure Giovanni's not coming to the playground. I'm sure he's not coming to the playground. But no, we have to go and check. So we drove up, and literally there was not a single soul at the Ogilvy playground. I said, Teddy, look, nobody's there. He still might be coming. Well, okay, we'll ride around a little bit. Don't ride around, Granddaddy. Let's just sit right here and wait for him when he gets here. So I said, I'll give you 10 minutes. So we sat there at 10 minutes, and the playground was still empty, and we ended up finally getting up and driving away. But hopefully, when it actually is literally raining, he usually says even he knows he can't play in the rain. He'll play in the wet, but he won't play in the rain.
I tell you what, though, I love his optimism, though. It's kind of like the old commercial with the guys that are out golfing and they're underneath the house, and the one guy looks at the other guy and he says, I think it's going to slow down any minute. It's just a torrential rain, and it doesn't show any signs of slowing down, but he's trying to hold out all hope that they can go out and play, and they don't. And that kind of reminds me of Teddy there with that story. Hey, I don't care. I'm going to try and maybe. So I give him credit.
I think he's going to be here. Let's just wait and see if he gets here. Literally not a single soul. I mean, the playground was 100% empty. Nobody's out there. We were just sitting there all alone in the parking lot. Well, it's not really a parking lot, but in the parking space right by the Ogilvy playground. Teddy with his nose, pressed against the window. Where's Giovanni? He's not coming. I'm telling you. But don't want to disappoint him. Speaking of golfing, I guess you're not going to get it in tonight, huh, Biffy?
No, I think unfortunately the last week of golf season was last Thursday. Just saw the weather for today and knew that there's not even a chance. We're not even going to try it. We'll probably still go to dinner though somewhere tonight and eat. But yeah, I think unless something somehow happens next Thursday and that first week in November, we're pretty much done for the year, I think.
Done for the season, huh?
Yep.
Well, I saw it's still a lot of when I drive up to Dillonville. I pass your golf course though, and a lot of folks on Sunday morning were out again this Sunday. Maybe getting the final Sunday round in or something, I suppose.
I tell you what, we were with everything that went on this year, we were very, very fortunate to even have a golf season this year and get it in with everything that's gone on. So we'll take it and look forward to next April.
Yep. There you go. 8:17 here on the Watchdog Morning Show. If you were watching my Facebook Live feed before we actually came on the air in this segment, you may have heard a giant crash. Okay. I do know. Especially, I don't know what happened. I know what happened. I have a large radio station banner here, really gigantic one, sitting in the corner, all wrapped up, and it finally toppled over. When it toppled over, it hit my Wi-Fi system. It knocked my Wi-Fi system down, knocked Alexa down, pretty much knocked everything on my desk down, and made a very loud crash. Fortunately, it apparently didn't do any harm or damage. We're still connected, which is good, so I feel good about that. But if you heard that giant crash, that's what it was. Things came crashing down. And I like to give you a little alert. Next hour, if you're with us, and you hear weird noises, remember, I'm at my home studio, which normally is very quiet because, my wife goes about her business in the other rooms and is pretty quiet about it. Even when Teddy is here during the daytime, he's pretty quiet most of the time. Sometimes not, but mostly quiet. We've got a plumber coming to do some work, and 9 o'clock was the time he gave me. When a plumber gives you a time, Biff, you don't argue with him.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
9 o'clock, that's fine. And the bathroom that he has to start to work in is literally outside the studio door here. So next hour, if you hear weird noises, I'm guessing he's going to have to cut some pipe and stuff, so we could have all kinds of construction noises going on this show. I just want to give you a little advance warning on that, just in case you hear that noise. 8:19 here on the Watchdog Morning Show on this rainy morning. I think certainly most couples I know have this fight, Biffy, and the average couple gets into 3 arguments a week over where to get dinner from. And boy, do we have those arguments all the time in this house. All the time. According to a new survey, the average couple gets into 3 arguments a week over what restaurants to get dinner from. And we order out frequently, and it would probably 3 or 4 days a week Nancy cooks, and then the other 3 or 4 days we order out someplace. And it is a good hour's worth of debate. I don't know, what do you want? I don't know, what do you want? Are you going to cook something? I'm not cooking anything. Okay, well, what do you want? You want to order from the West Sports Bar, get something from the Alpha menu? No, I don't think I want Alpha today. Okay, well, you want to, how about I don't think about Generations. Well, I'm thinking about Big Shot Bob's. I'd like some wings. Oh, I don't want any Big Shot Bob. But this goes on for an hour. This goes on for an hour in our house. And it's true. It was true before COVID that as well. We decided to go out on a Friday night. We would spend an hour arguing, well, where do you want to go? I don't know. Do you want to go to Red Lobster? I don't know. You want to go up to the West Sports Bar? I don't know. You want to go... Oh, God. So, but apparently we're not alone. Apparently we're not alone. The average couple gets into 3 arguments a week over what restaurants to get dinner from. The top 5 things that the couples debate: where to order from, okay, what restaurant, what to order, who's going to pick it up. Oh, there's no argument here. It's either delivery or my wife goes gets it. I don't do pickup. How much food to get? Short answer, lots. Okay, that's the short answer. And will you share or each get your own thing? Well, I want my own thing, and then I also want to be able to share. Nothing frustrates me more than when we order something. Happens frequently with Chinese in particular. And I get my usual shrimp lo mein, and Nancy will get her General Tso's chicken. And I count on her having General Tso's chicken left over. So I eat my lo mein. Okay. And I look over there and I say, well, could I have some of that Tso's that you're going to... Last couple of times, she ate it all. What's going on here? Part of the deal is I get your leftovers. You gave me no leftovers. Anyway, apparently the Monroe family is not unusual. And most couples that I know, most every couple that I know is like that. My son and daughter-in-law sometimes fight to the point that my son throws up his hand and walks out of the room. I don't care. Somebody figures something out. And off he goes. The survey also found that 2 out of every 5 people say that food compatibility is so important in a relationship, it would be a deal breaker if they were dating someone who liked different foods than them. Well, of course, I haven't dated for 43 years. So.
Well, that's good.
But I don't think... well, I guess it makes... I guess that I could not, for example, I couldn't date or be in a relationship with a vegetarian. Not because I care, it's just because where would we go eat, right? I mean, I don't care if she wants pasta and I want steak. But if she wants bean sprouts and I want steak, well, now we got a problem.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine that argument? You would literally have to go through every place and every menu to find something that you would have if that were the case.
Exactly.
It'd drive you crazy.
Yeah, it would. So that's fortunately that's not one that I mean, we're compatible. We don't like the same foods. All the same foods, but we're close enough. Again, the other thing I can think of is I would have a hard time with someone who's a vegetarian, for example. But anyway, apparently the Monroe family is not all that unusual. Speaking of foods, Biffy, so you drive up to a drive-through, right? Fast food drive-through, fast food restaurant, and you drive up, and the normal thing is somebody says, would you like to... May I take your order, please, right? That's the typical fast food restaurant, right? And then you say, yes, I'd like 2 burgers and some fries and a drink. And they go, and you go, yeah, I think so. I think that's what I want. Okay. Burger King is introducing a new drive-through deal. Now, in these places where they're experimenting with this, And they're going to put it into more than 10,000 Burger King locations eventually. Burger King's, Tim Hortons, and Popeyes, all owned by the same company. They're digital menu boards with what they call predictive selling. Now, what does predictive selling mean? It means that when you pull up, instead of going, yes, what would you like to order? The drive-through menu will say, hello, Howard. Do you want another Whopper like you had last time without the pickles and with the lettuce and the French fries on the side? It will know what you want when you get there. I don't like that.
That's scary.
I don't like that. I don't want the machine to know before I even pull up. I don't want them to tell me what I might get. Would you like your favorite order? No, I wouldn't. I mean, apparently they're going to integrate their drive-through menu with a restaurant loyalty program, like if you have the Burger King card, those kinds of things. And then, so you drive up, and I don't know how you would identify yourself, put your card up, or even just say, I don't know. And it will pop up a bunch of your recent purchases and your favorite purchases, and it will, tell you, it will suggest to you what you might want. And while every restaurant everywhere then says things like, you want fries with that, apparently this will offer you things that it's already figured out based on your previous shopping experience you might like. I don't know, Bippy. This world is getting to know too much about me. You know what I'm saying?
What's a wonder it doesn't have your license plate number, your credit card number already, so when you pull up, it tells you the order and processes it right there for you.
Listen, this story doesn't say that. I wouldn't be surprised if if that's not part of the deal. Certainly credit card, maybe.
Huh.
When I order online with certain restaurants, whether it's a pizza place or other restaurants, it already has my credit card number saved online. And so I go through, I place my usual Bob Evans order, sausage, gravy, and biscuits. And when it gets to the end for checkout, it will say, do you want to use your Visa, MasterCard, or ending in whatever it is, I mean, it makes that prediction. I wouldn't be surprised if this Burger King thing doesn't do it as well. The new menu boards have already been installed at 1,500 Burger King locations in this country, and it will be at all 10,000 Burger King, Tim Hortons, and Popeyes locations by next year. So, geez, that's too spooky for me, my friends. That is way too spooky. There's a new grocery in South Wheeling, and I'm going to take a talk about that in a second. I'm wondering if it is going to be part of a new trend. So I've got that story coming up here in a minute. Plus, we'll talk with Doc Ray Stoker in the next half hour of the show. All of that is coming up here on the Watchdog Morning Show. But first, let's take care of some business.
Now until sold out, get $10,000 off any...
Biff, give me a minute. I'll tell you when I'm back. Okay, I'm back, Biffy. I'll do a short story here, and then we'll take a break and get Doc Ray on, hopefully. Yes.
And I know without a doubt I'm not alone. And I love and live in local. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. Said I love and live in local. WTRF is working for me. The Ohio Valley is where I love to be.
Today is the day to go see your Toyota dealer and save big on the car, truck, or SUV you've been dreaming of. Like an off-road ready 2024 runner or a rugged Tacoma, both with $1,000 cash back from Toyota. Or go with a 21 gas model Corolla, also with $1,000 back. Or check out the Adventure 50 cash back. Take $2,000 cash back on a sporty new 2020 gas model Camry or $3,000 on a hybrid model Camry. Visit Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com, for more great offers, to check out inventory, build your own Toyota, and to find a dealer near you. All to help make buying or leasing your next Toyota easy and affordable. You can take cash back or apply to a down payment. Offers exclude TRD Pro models and hybrid offers vary. See your dealer for details. Don't wait, because today is the day to go see your Toyota dealer. Offers end November 2nd. Toyota.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster with a look at your local weather forecast for your Thursday. Mostly cloudy, periods of rain. Could be heavy at times. Daytime high near 52. 41 for the overnight low under mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures returning into the lower 50s for daytime highs for your Friday with a couple of scattered sprinkles. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
Follow us on Facebook for the latest news, show updates, podcasts, alerts, and live video streams from the Valley's only network dedicated to local, community-driven talk radio, The Watchdog.
Miss a part of the show? Want to hear a segment again? Check out our podcast page at watchdognetwork.com. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
8:32, 28 till the hour, looking at 51 degrees and lots of rain at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport here at my home studios and at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Biff, when I was growing up, way back when, before the interstate came through the Elm Grove area, at the end of my street, my residential street, there was a little tiny corner grocery. It literally was on the corner. It was called Red's. Red was the guy who ran it. And he had, your basic items. He had soup and, canned goods and comic books, because I always liked comic books. Remember having comic books. But just the basic staples of life, the little corner grocery. I know growing up on the island, there were several what I would call corner grocery or neighborhood groceries really on the island, right? You had the Minute Market over there.
Minute Market, the A&J's, the candy store was there.
You had a convenient food mart there, I think.
Convenient was there. Those are some of the ones that I remember. Now, there may have been more, but those were just the ones that I remember growing up that were there.
Now, I'm old enough to remember when the corner grocery began to slowly be replaced by what we now call supermarkets in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. Buy Right was one of the first ones to open up not far from our neighborhood. The A&P store became a big deal at one point, and then the Kroger's came along and so on and so forth. And I miss the corner grocery, and I always thought there was a room for it and value in it. And there are some neighborhoods that have them, and many do not. Most do not have neighborhood groceries anymore. Some still do. You have Neely's up in East Wheeling, for example, a tremendous good neighborhood grocery.
Down in town, we had Dawson's.
Dawson's Meat Market, yes, absolutely. In South Wheeling, they just recently, according to a story I saw in the newspaper, a new grocery store has opened up where an old grocery store used to be a long time ago. It's on Jacob Street. Drove past it yesterday. I want to take a look at it. The woman who is running it, her family has run businesses, including a grocery in that store before. The owner of the building, the landlord, Richard Niehaus, has renovated the building, turned it into made it work as a grocery store. At one point, this was A. Niehaus Grocery and Meats back in 1922, and then by 1952, it had changed ownership. In 1982, it closed up. What this got me thinking was, I hope we see more of these, Biff. I hope we see more neighborhood groceries. We need more neighborhood businesses. I know the world is so different now, and I mentioned Red's was around in my neighborhood before the interstate came through. It's the interstate that changed the way things operate a lot, and we don't even have even 15, 20 years ago, we still had lots of the convenience stores, all under the convenient brand name. I mean, we still have some. We have Duggar's Market. I'm not going to try and name them. There are a few around, but the neighborhood grocery, I think, is a neat idea. And I'm really pleased to see this one opening up in South Wheeling, and I hope it begins a trend. Are there any groceries on Wheeling Island, Biffy, grocery stores now?
No, because, the convenience gone, although it looks like, I don't think it's going to be convenient, but they're doing something to that. The Minute Market is now one of the many empty lots that are on Wheeling Island. I think,
Right.
A&J's is still there, but it's been closed for who knows how long now. So no, I mean there's really no like convenience store or any type store left on the island.
Yeah.
You want something, you got to go to the
vital-
Marathon. That's it.
Yeah, they used to be such a vital part of neighborhoods. Yeah, you're right. That's right. You go to the Marathon, you go to a gas station, you go to sort of a makeshift store like that. But I just saw this South Wheeling grocery story, and I drove past the store yesterday. I'm thinking, man, I hope it succeeds, and I hope it's a trend and a reminder that neighborhood businesses can really be successful and be useful and an important part of the neighborhood. Where neighborhood kids can come and get candy, all right? Or if you just need a quick something, you can run down and get a quick something, whatever that something might be. And no disrespect here in my neighborhood, for example, now we all run to, my wife runs to Dollar General. It's got everything. But that's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as an old-fashioned neighborhood grocery. So I just want to take a second to talk about that. With Halloween coming, we're starting to think about some of the big Halloween characters, Frankenstein's monster or Count Dracula. We're going to talk about Dracula. That's coming up next here on the Watchdog Morning Show. And then we'll talk about, I don't know if he's like Dracula, but Stephen is going to join us, Stephen Allen Adams, the next hour of the show, to talk about politics in West Virginia. That's a bit of what I've got coming up for you here on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time for...
Okay. Dacre. Okay. I got it. Makes sense to me. That works. Thank you. Appreciate that. Nope, that's good. That's great. That's great. I appreciate that. Dacre. All right. We'll get to him as quickly as we can and do what you got to do. Okay. Okay, great. Excellente.
Recently lost his battle with pancreatic cancer. The ceremony takes place at the Wheeling Fallen Firefighter Memorial at 2 p.m. And with Halloween 2 days away, the Belmont County Animal Shelter is kicking off the spooky season with their own pet-friendly Halloween party today. There will be multiple vendors, and the Belmont County Sheriff's Office will have their canines on hand as well. Be sure to dress up. They will have a costume contest with prizes. The event takes place from 5 to 7. That was a look at your headlines. Have a great Thursday, everyone.
Jemiah Ladai and Neil Brown give their take on Saturday's game again.
I'm going to grab a can of pop. I'll be right back before Tony's done. I'm back. $9:10, and he has to be out at 9:25. No. Somebody want to call in? Damn. I did tell JoJo about that. That's partly my fault. I told him though that I might end up being booked. I can do him after Steven. That's the best I can do right now. I apologize. It's my fault. Tell him it's my fault. I do apologize. Yeah, we can do it then if you want to. He has to be out by 9:25, so. That's completely my fault. Okay, sounds good.
Special teams. I think they play great complementary football. I think they create their own breaks. I don't think any of that's luck, happen chance, anything like that. I think they create their own breaks, and they do that because they're really fundamentally sound. They're well coached. I think they got discipline. In a word, they compete. Those guys, man, they compete, and they create those opportunities.
Head coach Neil Brown. Join him tonight for his talk show here on the Mountaineer Sports Network. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
The perfect cure for your quarantine blues. The Watchdog on Facebook Live. Watch The Watchdog weekdays on Facebook Live, beginning with the morning show with Howard Monroe at 7 a.m. Local talk radio, Watchdog style. Give us a call and tell us what you're thinking. Locally, 304-214-1600. Out of the area, toll free, 866-514-1600 or 304-232-8255.
Live and local for the Ohio Valley, the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
Well, Halloween is not far away, and it turns our attention to all of those ghosts and goblins and creatures and horror film characters and so on. You know, the two great granddaddies, if you will, of the horror movie genre, the horror story genre, are Frankenstein's monster and Count Dracula, first created by Mary Shelley, the latter by Bram Stoker. Dacre Stoker is the great-grandson of Bram Stoker, and a great-grandnephew of Bram Stoker, and he is with us today. Dacre, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Howard, thank you so much for having me. This is a big week for the Stoker family, as you will know.
I can imagine. Do you dress up with a cape and and all that kind of stuff? I mean, do Do you vampire out for Halloween yourself?
I don't. I actually, just to break the trend, I try to dress up as Bram Stoker, my great-granduncle, just to throw a wrench into people to say, wait a second. I'm related to the guy that created it, not the actual creation itself.
I gotcha. Gotcha. That's yes, that's true. Well, the first thing, which is just a little bit off base, I wanted to ask. I was surprised to see when I read some background about Bram Stoker, is that he actually was from Ireland, or Ireland was part of the inspiration. Ireland and Dracula don't seem to meld with in my mind. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're right, because it's all identified with, the province in Romania of Transylvania where Bram set the story, or at least the beginning and the end of the story, and that's where he, found this guy, Vlad the Impaler, in 2 books in his research and decided to, borrow that name. But he really was Irish. Bram was born and raised in Dublin in 1847. And as we very well know, and that's one of the things we're pushing this week, is remind people that Ireland is the home of Halloween. It may be the birthplace of Dracula, but it's the home of Halloween. All these cool, the spirit world, spiritualism, it's very, very deep in their culture that goes back, 3,000 years to when the Celts really started celebrating, Samhain, which is the changing of the day from the light part of the day, the summertime, to the dark time, the winter, and when those 2 merge together on this weekend that we're coming up to, the evil spirits come out, as so do the good spirits, and we put on the costumes to scare off the bad ones, and we give out treats and things for the good ones. So it all kind of makes sense, Howard, when you kind of dig into Bram's early childhood. He was heavily influenced by this sort of closeness to the spiritual world, and how later he did his research. It all came together for him.
What you explained there to me makes perfect sense, but when I saw that, when I read that, I thought, man, Ireland, like the land of leprechauns and stuff, that doesn't seem like the land of vampires to me. But
they do, man.
I get the connection you're making there, yeah.
But, and when you look deeper, and I did exactly the same thing when I started looking at this. Fairies, I'm thinking Tinkerbell. Leprechauns, I'm thinking, the Notre Dame mascot. But as you go a little deeper into it, they also have, it's based on the cautionary tales of, banshees, which, screaming people that, signify someone's going to die in the family, and changelings and pukas and fairies. They're all about the spirits of the dead coming back, to sort of warn us to behave properly. So it's like that pagan sort of style versus what nowadays, or even back in Bram's days, there was still this conflict between organized religion that said everything is God's way, and the pagan sort of superstitions that have been going a lot longer than Christianity. So it's a cool mixture of the two, and Ireland still has that history. And funnily enough, so does parts of Transylvania, especially the rural parts. There's a lot of similarities between the place Bram set the story and where he was born and raised.
How did he come to create the character of Dracula? Well, you alluded to it a minute ago. First of all, there really was Vlad the Slayer or something. I mean, it was
Vlad the Impaler.
Loosely based on Vlad the Impaler. Thank you. Loosely based on a real character. But tell me about how the story came to be.
Well, he was living in London at the time, and he didn't write the first vampire story. That, Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu, an Irish guy, wrote Carmilla. John Polidori wrote The Vampire. Varney the Vampire was written. So he didn't invent this. The idea had been around, and also the idea of the real vampire scares had already, charged through Eastern Europe and parts of Western Europe, Austria, Germany, Italy, with the plagues that came through, and people misunderstood the contagious diseases like the plague, scarlet fever, rheumatic fever. We had the same problem in New England states in the late 1800s, and Bram Stoker actually had an article from that people believed that tuberculosis was really sort of vampirism. So what he did, that got this story off the ground for him, was doing this research about what people really believed in different places. He found Vlad the Impaler, who was nicknamed the Devil. He found his name in 2 books in the London Library. And he just sort of said, okay, I'm going to make this story seem real, something people already understand and are scared to death of, vampirism. And I'm going to bring it onto, into the shores of England via Whitby and into London and make the story feel really real.
Were there parts of the vampire legend, if you will, that he modified or changed? I mean, did he create? Were vampires always, turning into bats and biting people and making them immortal, all that kind of stuff? I mean, that sort of thing.
No, I mean, again, he was a real stickler for detail. Besides being a theater manager, he had at one time been a clerk, an inspector of clerks, petty sessions all over Ireland. So he had a detail side of his brain, and he also had this sort of fantasy side. And so what he did was he went into these books, and he found a book by a Scottish lady. The concept and the book had actually been introduced to Bram by Mark Twain, if you can believe it. And she, Emily Gerard, wrote this book, almost a manual on superstitions and all the traits associated with what people felt were the things vampires could do, like turning them into, creatures of the night, wolves, bats, no reflection in mirrors, their ability to shapeshift, all that kind of cool stuff. So he had this book, and he simply then merged all those things into this historical person, Vlad the Impaler, who was not a vampire, not even a blood drinker, may have been a bloodthirsty ruler and an impaler. So he just did this amazing merger of all these different sort of known or understood traits of vampirism that sort of blurred the edges of fact and fiction and put them together into this incredible story. And then from there, the book did very well. But he died in 1912, and the thing then hit the stage later on, and Bela Lugosi and the movies and so on, and that helped personify a slightly different look, but that's the one we look at nowadays, this Eastern European, suave, debonair aristocrat who has all these cool powers. But it was Bram that created them all.
And I think the book came out in 1897 or somewhere around there. Was it popular? Was it successful at the time, Dracula, the book?
Somewhat. I mean, the first print run was like 30,000, which was pretty big in those days, but it didn't have wide circulation. It was met with mixed reviews, which means that the reviews that people found, one or two of them were like, "Oh my gosh, this is too horrifying." It actually, Howard, it scared people because it was so darn realistic. But later on, a friend of mine, John Browning, a professor, found many more reviews. It was a big hit, but the book sales didn't really pick up, sadly, until Bram passed away 1912. And as I said, thanks to people like Ray Huntley and Bela Lugosi and Christopher Lee, that really spurred the book sales around the world when this thing went global.
Very akin to Frankenstein's monster as well. Mary Shelley and Bram Stoker both had some success with their books, but it really was after that horror film genre became quite popular in this country and elsewhere, I guess, but in this country, and sort of gave us a visual look at Frankenstein's monster and at Dracula, that it really kind of became embedded in our national psyche, I guess.
Well, it does, and you and I know very well in the entertainment business, people like to be entertained visually. Take a date, take your friend, go with your family out to see the movies. Reading a book is a more sort of solitary thing, and then it kind of sticks in your own head. You get your own vision. But as soon as you hit the stage and TV screen and the big screen, then you've got the ability to sort of transcend this image into larger entertainment forms, and then of course it morphs into product endorsements and product connections. There's so many things you see, Frankenberry, Count Chocula cereals, but like everything is splashed all over, especially this time of the year with these two images that, started humbly back with two very creative people, Shelley and Stoker, and now it's all over the world associated with the most bizarre connections you can imagine.
I think at one point, I think actually both of those characters were made into superheroes by one of the comic book companies. They were, Frankenstein and Dracula were superheroes at one point. I mean, they really have run the gamut, I guess. You wrote a sequel. You wrote a sequel, is that right?
I wrote a prequel and a sequel. I've been in this for 15 years, and when I look at Bram's life and his notes and the typescript for Dracula, and I find all these really cool little sort of pieces of the puzzle left behind, I figured the best way to exploit that and bring it out to the world is write a novel. And I'm not a writer by trade, but I find good co-authors that can help me. And the latest effort, which was the biggest hit and was the #1 horror hardcover in all of the UK, was Dracul. That's the prequel to Dracula that just came out 2 years ago in the paperback last year. And we've actually sold the rights, as you and I talk about the movies. We've sold the movie rights to Paramount. So the book sales have been great. Hopefully the movie will be made. But it's Bram Stoker's life story, but fictionalized as if he had good reason to write his famous novel Dracula as a warning to the world that vampires were real.
If you were picking the best movie vampire, who would it have been? Who would it be, or who would you want to play Count Dracula in a version of your book, for example?
Oh, that's so tough because I look back at all the eras. I say Bela Lugosi did a great job. Christopher Lee, Gary Oldman did an incredible job. Luke Evans did a really good job in Dracula Untold. So it's a struggle for me, Steve, to say, would I want one of the established guys that's still around in acting? Like, it would be great to have Gary Oldman come back because the 92 Coppola film that he did, I thought was spectacular. But on the other hand, you wonder, Claes Bang, who just did the BBC Netflix adaptation, which was a cool reimagining, he's a fresh but really incredible and awesome Dracula. So hard to tell. Obviously, the studios aren't probably going to ask me, but I think if I had my druthers, it would be the latest one, Claes Bang. Well, if we could bring him back for the prequel, that would be cool.
I always enjoyed the horror movies. I'm a child of that era. I think every community probably had the TV shows. We had one called Chiller Theater here on Saturday nights. Chilly Billy would do the Chiller Theater and play the old horror movies and would play, the Lugosi Dracula and Frankenstein and so on. But in more recent days, my favorite vampires came out of the TV show True Blood. Did you ever watch that?
Oh, yeah. Again, Charlene Harris wrote the Suki Sacco series. It was, adapted into the mini-series, which I think, Howard, is wonderful when you don't have to tell the story and squish everything in 1 2-hour movie, which sometimes does disservice and can't be faithful to the book. But when they adapt it into an HBO series or a Netflix series, then you've got more flexibility. And boy, that was incredible, especially since they kind of set it in Louisiana where Anne Rice had put her stories back in the day that really helped turn the corner for vampires in popular culture. So I was a big fan of True Blood as well.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you for joining us. This has been a really, really interesting conversation. Nice to delve into these things at Halloween or any time, but especially here at Halloween time. So I do appreciate your dropping by today. It's been quite enjoyable.
Well, you're welcome. Just remind all your listeners that Ireland is the home of Halloween and the birthplace of Dracula. If you want to know more about Dracula or myself, BramStokerEstate.com gives you all the skinny on who Bram was and what he did to rock the world.
BramStokerEstate.com. All right. I was surprised. Ireland and Dracula never came together in my mind until I started researching your visit with us today. So I have learned many things today, and that is certainly one of them. But again, people want to look more. BramStokerEstate.com. Good way to find more info there. Thanks a lot for joining us today.
You're most welcome. Have a safe and happy Halloween, Howard.
All right, you too. Dacre Stoker is the great-grandnephew of Bram Stoker. Bram Stoker, the guy who wrote the first Dracula story. And some really neat stuff there. But when I saw this coming to me from Ireland tourism, I thought, that can't be right. Dracula, Ireland? The land of leprechauns, no, it can't be right. But I guess after I listened to Dacre there, he explained a good bit why. Well, next hour, we're going to be talking about politics in West Virginia. Stephen Allen Adams is going to be joining us, and we'll talk about, is it possible that the Senate could flip to Democrat? Stephen did some thought about that and did a little playing around with some numbers on that. We'll talk about that and some other pre-election conversation coming up next hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show for a Thursday.
The The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Okay, hey Biff, I have a potential problem developing here. I must not have had my phone plugged in all night. I can't plug it in when I'm using the Bridget, and it's gone to low battery power. So I'm going to A, try and charge it up for the next 10 minutes, and B, if I lose power sometime this next hour, I'll just have to try to reconnect some other way. So I'm just giving you a fair warning. We have the potential for a problem, okay? All right, hopefully, all right. Oh, see, I had to. Hello, there we go. I had to unplug it there to plug it into power. See, I can't plug it into power at the same time I'm plugged into this. So I'm going to disconnect from you for about 6 or 7 minutes and try and give myself a little extra juice at least, and then I will reconnect, okay? All right, I'll let you know. Bye. Bye.
So-called Islamist separatism. Macron's even doubled down, saying Islam is a religion in crisis all over the world, and that's prompted anger, protests, and boycotts. But whatever the context, this is another terrible, shocking incident in a city and a country that has a painful history of extremist attacks.
It's ABC's Ian Panel at the foreign desk. Coronavirus closures across Europe, places like France, Belgium, and Germany, as COVID-19 numbers and hospitalizations continue to